Hey guys, welcome for my video which will run over my experience at the World Championships of Warhammer. I've just come back from it. It was an absolute blast. I'm very glad I was able to make it this year. I couldn't go last time because I was under 18 and there were some issues with the contract law, but very happy to have made it this time round. My dad was able to come with me, which was fantastic. It was good sort of see how he was going. I received so much support for this event from all of my friends and family, and even random strangers, which was fantastic. So thank you to everyone who sort of kept me going during this time. The venue was really cool at the Hyatt Regency in Atlanta. The staff that put together the event clearly were very passionate and did a really good job, so that was nice to see. Like, they had a massive Space Marine Terminator by the entrance to the venue, which was cool. I met a load of new people that I couldn't meet last time, like Mike Cortez and Shane from Command Point. A bunch of people I'd been talking to on Discord, so it was finally awesome to see them in person and sort of match a name to a face. It was such a good time. I chose to play Warp Coven for this tournament. I considered taking Breaches, but in the advance pack they sent out, Breaches lost an operative, so I decided to take the most evil choice possible and play Warp Coven. I am a big fan of their faction, just in 40k. I love the lore, I love the models, but you know, that hardly matters when they are the strongest team, I think. Worlds used a pod system to determine who would get through to the top 16, so the top cut for the final 2 days. So the first 2 days were over six rounds between them, and my pod was really tough. I looked at it before the event and thought, oh no, I'm very cooked, because it had so many strong players. A few that I'd noted were Asier from Spain with his Legionaries. Wasn't looking forward to that one. Lucas from Germany, he did super well in Belgium and he brought Corsairs. I heard they were very fearsome in the new edition. 2 Inquisition players, Augustin and Alexa, who I both know previously are great players, so was terrified of facing them. And Voyant from Canada, very high on ITC, also playing Warp Coven, so I was especially worried that he knew that team better than I did. Round 1 was against Augustin Baloche. I had played him at LGT and that was the event that he won. He's a French chap and I was quite cautious with this game because I know that he's a very strong player. Our last match was in fact a draw, so very close. I knew he would definitely give me a run for his money and play a very strong game. Unfortunately, I think on the map we had, it's very difficult for him to push up. He needs to try and grab the middle objective, which means that it's very difficult to be in good cover. I used the Sorcerer's Scroll equipment to amplify my blast attack and shot into the servo skull, the skull, the tome skull, yes, that Inquisition have, and that hit 4 targets. I didn't kill the skull and I didn't manage to kill the melter, but then I followed up with a doom bolt, and I think from that point onwards it was very difficult for him to score many points. So the final score was 21-12 to me. The second round was versus Alexa, and this is the guy who won the championships last year, so it definitely had me quaking in my boots when I went into this match. I was playing Inquisition like Augustin, and these were 2 matchups I was super worried about before going into the match. So I made a couple of mistakes due to not being very familiar with the mission. I've only had so much practice in the new edition, so I overcommitted my guys to the left side of the board, but didn't quite cost me. He played a very tough game and kept the score very close. I was able to land a hatchway fight on his Pistolier, which I think was very bad news for him, because then he couldn't block my Contain, and obviously then he was down a Pistolier. The final score for this one was 17-14 to me. Round 3 was against the Rat Man. He is such a good personality. We had a mutual friend of Chris Scott Law, and he spoke very highly of him, and I can see why now. It was such a great match of just cracking jokes and everything. He was playing Blooded, of course. Every Blooded player is a lovely person. This is known. I feel bad. He worked so hard to escape a shot from my Mind Burn turn one, but unfortunately I was still able to hit his Melter at the end. And I think just being down threats against Warp Coven really means it's difficult to pull it back. And he didn't roll well on any of his D3 on death ploy rolls. So, yeah, I think that's why I just sort of was able to run away with the match. He was a really cool guy, so I'm very glad that we met. Round 4 was against Voyan Jarek. This is the Canadian Warp Coven player, which, as mentioned, I was a bit worried that he knew how to play the team better than me. We both went for different strategies, which is good. It's always a bit confusing in a mirror match to know what to do, but he went for 4 Zangors and I went for 2 Rubrics. He was doing an interesting strategy where he would put the Temporal Flux on a Rubric, run out, plant beacons, and then zip back. Whereas for me, I was doing that to do it on my Destiny Sorcerer to score Doombolt kills. And I think that, in the end, this killy advantage helped me go up models in the earlier turns, and then just made it so that I was able to run away with the primaries, get high on kill op, and since I had also taken plant beacons, I was just able to do that with my less threatening models, like my Icon Bearer. So he was a lovely chap, and it was great talking to him to pick his brain about Warp Coven strategies, but final score was 2012. Round 5 was against Brett Bouchard with his Corsairs. I'd heard they received some crazy buffs, so I was definitely worried about what this team could do. I hadn't faced them prior to this tournament, and I knew that Brett was going to be an excellent pilot. However, I think turn 1 I forced him to play very defensively thanks to the Mind Burn and Devastating Wounds on it, and then after winning initiative turn 2 I was able to kill his Starstorm Duelist. With Ethereal Warding they really do struggle to deal enough damage with their threats. And then when I managed to double kill his Shade Runner and Felarch with a Flying Charge and then Doombolt, because the TO ruled I was just in with the Sorcerer's Scroll to add an extra inch of movement with Time Walker, I think that kind of sealed the deal, and unfortunately I don't think he was able to do much from that point onwards. So the final score was 28, but he was a lovely fella. It was good talking to him, and he was quite funny, made several jokes throughout the match. Round 6 was versus Assiers, so this was a game just for fun. I was at the top of my bracket and was guaranteed to go through. Unfortunately, he couldn't qualify at this point in time. And this one was streamed by Squad Games, so make sure to check out their Twitch channel to see the match. He was such a lovely person, as most Spanish players seem to be. He had an interesting strategy and really managed to minimise my points, but I think Warp Coven can play a very cagey game, and that just meant that he struggled to get many kills, he struggled to score his secondaries, and he struggled to overwhelm me on primaries, or crit ops as they're called now. So in the end, neither of us scored especially highly, but I just think he was on the back foot points-wise for most of the game, and the final score was 14-9 to me. Round 7. So we were now into the Worlds bracket, so I made it to the top of my pod, and this was the top 16 cut. My dad had also qualified, thankfully, despite being in a very difficult pod, along with Ace, another UK guy, Tom Catch sides, and narrowly beating a Canadian Warp Coven player. So this round, I was against Matt Hoffman, and we had a mutual friend of Atri, the Inquisition player in my last video. It was great to talk to him, and I can see why they're friends, both such lovely people. It was a very pleasant time, although he was playing Death Guard, or Plague Marines, as the kill team's called, and I think they are not in a great spot as far as elites go. I think I was just able to completely outmaneuver them, carefully measure out the threat ranges and go, okay, well, I'm outside of the range here, here, and here. he didn't really have any shots, and due to how speedy Warp Coven are, he wasn't able to properly keep his operatives safe. And with Psychic Cabal, I was just able to spam him with Doom Bolts every turn, and I think that was just too much for him to handle. So the final match score was 28. Round 8 was versus John Rees, Mr. Can You Roll the Crit himself. This was another streamed match, so you can check out Score Games again for it. We were both undefeated prior to this point, 7 wins and no losses, so someone's dreams were coming to an end. I think my reposition scouting at the start of the game was a really good choice. That put so much pressure on the left side of the board, and he struggled to move up, which I think Legionaries kind of have to do in the match to get close and beat up Warp Coven, basically. I think I definitely should have taken the Take Ground tack op. Running plant beacons wasn't disastrous, but not optimal. Definitely some crazy rolls on both sides. I mean, that 1 in 6 roll that he did was very ballsy, and it paid off for him. But the Doombolt 4/6s was very punishing, and I think just sort of sealed the deal. I think my precise playstyle had the game locked down for most of it, and I think he played quite a good game despite this. 17-8 to me was the final score. Round 9 was versus Jimmy Kelly, Kimmy Jelly, the Jelly Man. He had insane drip. I loved his outfits in every round, and he showed up ready to, play some poker. So perhaps found his way to the wrong tables. I don't know what he was doing playing Kill Team. Legitimately one of the funniest people I've ever met. Such a hoot to play against. Again, this is another streamed game. Bit of a running theme here when I play Legionaries, apparently. Glad to call him a friend. It was great to talk to him before, during, and after the match. And he tried a new strategy, which I immensely respect. He didn't take the Melter and ran a very melee-oriented team. It didn't work out for him. I was just able to screen round it completely with Razor Wire, the Zangor Champions, and the Temporal Flux to zip back. But I immensely respect the idea of trying something new and seeing what does work. Unfortunately, this strategy didn't work out for him, but he was an absolutely wonderful opponent. The round was 24 to me. You might have seen a picture of my funny attire in the finals of the Champs, and that is due to the fact that I was talking to Jimmy Kelly during our match, and we both commented how cool we thought Ratman's coat was. And he said that whichever one of us wins should definitely rock up to the final wearing it. Ratman heard about it. He ran up to me after I won the match and was like, "Yeah, man, take my coat." Very generous of him, very kind. Jimmy gave me the glasses, and then he suggested that I see if John would be up for giving me his flags. John agreed, so I rocked up with the full set, full outfit. Really every good luck charm I could bring from my previous opponents. The finals match was against Javier Escu. He was one hell of an opponent. I think the Spanish think tank was able to come up with an absolutely amazing strategy for Legionaries into Warp Coven. He wisely managed to dodge a Doombolt turn 1, which is always a good idea. That thing will absolutely murder elites. I thought I was safe from the Objector Tap and the Melter Shot, but he made very good use of those opportunities. Looking back, I am actually very happy with how I played the match. There are a couple of small things to learn from. As I say, I think Capricious plan to keep my Sorcerer safe and doing something different with the Icon Bearer to stop that move would have been good. But I think that in the end, my plan forced him to gamble, and he was entirely reliant on the Melter Shot going well for him, whereas I did have the volume of fire to sort of have room for error on that front, and I think that he went for it, he made the roll, it didn't happen, unfortunately for him, but that's sort of the best you can do in such a world-class game, I think. So he played it fantastically, but dice of dice, and the thing it came down to just didn't go his way. I'm very happy with myself. I played a very precise, calculated game, and in the end it was 12-11 to me. So final rundown, as I said, it was the finals, so my win for this match meant that I was able to win the entire championships of Warhammer, the kill team part, obviously, and that does make me this year's world champion. So it's a title I really don't think I'll be able to defend next year. I'm very proud to have it. I wouldn't be here without all the support I received, and of course playing a strong team, which I was able to take to that height. Yeah, I had an absolute blast with this event. It couldn't have gone any better for me. And I hope to be able to have more like it in future. Being on stream was such an honour. It was great to talk to all these people and sort of be part of a wider online event, I guess. It was just so cool, and I'm so glad that everyone seemed to have as much fun as I did. Right, well, thank you very much for watching. I'll be putting out more strategy advice on Warp Coven soon with Ace and George Armour, so make sure to check that one out. And I'll be doing my silly Tenzangor match against Jimmy Kelly as soon as we can schedule that. So make sure to stay tuned for more nonsense. All right, thank you very much.